Hello, and welcome back, everyone. It is time. It is finally time for the final run of Get a Move On, and I am a lucky man to be able to be hosting this one because this is one of my favorite games of all time, Rayman Legends, run by Samuroleon. If you want to say hello.
Hello.
And
I'm Samuroleon. I am like 5th on the leaderboards for any percent of this game, and I've been running it basically since the game came out. Is there anything else you want me to say?
No, you can get right to it, and as we said before, just say when you want to start the timer.
Alright, so I'm going to hit new game now, but we don't actually start the timer yet. I just want to use the time to talk about stuff. Because we've got a 2-minute unskippable cutscene starting up the game, which just is like going to go through the little plot the game has. That this game came out in 2013 on the Wii U, Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, and it then came out on PS4 and Xbox One a few months later. And then in 2017, the Switch version came out, and that's the version I'm going to be playing on today. The Switch version is titled the Definitive Edition, but it actually has the worst load times of any version. I just play it because I'm more comfortable with the controller on Switch. There's not much of a plot to this game. It's just talking about how the magician guy from Rayman Origins is back, and now there's 5 of him, and Rayman and his friends need to stop him. And the little green dude Murphy is going to be sent to go and wake Rayman up so that they can go and save the world, I guess. So this game has a lot of movement tricks and a lot of fun things to do with that movement. There aren't any real skips, so it's just going to be playing through the game pretty much sort of as they intended, I guess. Besides that, there's nothing too crazy in the run. But as you can see, the little blue guys, the teensies, have been captured, and we need to rescue those throughout the run. So time is going to start in 3, 2, 1, now. We're not going to wake the guys up normally. We're going to pause and exit out to the menu because we want to change characters straight away, and we don't want to play the game as Rayman. Instead, I'm going to warp to the Heroes Gallery and swap to Glowbox straight away. I play as Glowbox because, as I will show off in a second, Glowbox's back kick in the air has more range than any other characters, and we'll be making use of that a lot of times throughout the run. And another thing is, I'm doing Creepy Castle first. That is a Switch-only reroute, and it's just because we want to do our first Murphy level slightly later from the start because of a mode called Murphy's Touch, which is letting you play Murphy levels like on Wii U. So we're just going to start. We want to grab Teensy right at the start and then just start rolling through the level. There's a lot of momentum to keep up in the game, so I just want to sort of start going fast and then keep going fast. And in this first level, you'll see me using a couple of important bits of movement tech. I'll slowly explain them as the run goes on. There's just a lot going on at the start to explain. As for one thing, there's the teensies I'm rescuing. To beat the game, I need to have collected 260 teensies to unlock the final boss level. So as I'm going through the levels, I'm going to be saving almost all of the teensies in each level just to make my way up through that requirement. You also saw me using the heart I've got behind me to do a damage boost and then immediately pick up another one. I pick up another one because I want to do yet another damage boost right here, just to save a little bit of time as I'm getting up and grabbing the teensies. Oh, and I failed a trick there. That's a shame. There's the first death. So I tried learning a new trick literally just yesterday, and I didn't get it. So I'll just do that how I normally would and how they expect you to. So that was a bit of a shame, but it's to be expected when I've literally just started learning that. So that's the first level done. As you can see, there's 2 empty spots in the middle where there could have been teensies, because I didn't want to rescue those ones. But That's just because the two in the middle are in separate rooms, and those separate rooms take a while to get through. So if they're not completely necessary, then we're not going to get them, because we only want to get the fastest ones. So having done that level, we're now going to go and do the first level, Once Upon a Time. And this is the level where we'll get introduced to Murphy and start to see how he works as a mechanic in the game. We're going to start off by just going to the left to grab a teensy before then heading off to the right to go through the level. That teensy is just there, hidden behind the start. You might notice it in the opening cutscene, which is pretty much the only reason people might know to go that way from the start. And now we've got Murphy. By pressing the A button, Murphy will do a variety of things like tickle, slap, or cut ropes. And see here, he's cutting down the ropes to let us go past and actually advance through the level. You saw me ground pound through the floor and then restart sequence. The ground pound through the floor is because of a slight quirk in the collision of the floor, and then the restart sequence is because once I'm down there, I've triggered a checkpoint slightly further forwards. And that just means it saves me grabbing the teensy and then just moves me back forwards as a little time save. To get up and skip that wheel, I used a trick known as a YBY up, which is a unintentional trick where I press the attack and jump buttons at the same time. And then if I'm holding at an angle, I don't know how I didn't die there. If I'm holding at an angle on the D-pad, it will let me teleport up. Well, not teleport. It will launch me up at a very high angle, and it's higher than you would normally be able to jump. And for some reason, if you're doing one of those YVY ups while facing backwards, you can jump out of it and have it essentially act as a double jump, which gets you just even more height and a bit more control over your direction. Now that we've completed 2 levels, we've got 16 teensies, which is enough to unlock our second world, and it'll pop up a message, and we've got to go and check it out. There's no way about that. And then, because we cleared the first Murphy level, another pop-up will warp us to the main gallery, and that one's also forced. So that's why we do the first 2 levels the wrong way around, is just to get those 2 warps happening at the same time. At the start of this level, I'm going to do another speed boosting trick known as a brake boost, which basically uses a weird quirk with the physics of the sliding animation, where it actually pushes you forwards if you've been running in place for a little bit before spinning. And that just pushes you forwards faster than you should be going at spin speed. And that just means you can go faster, and then if you keep up your jumps precisely, then you'll just keep that higher speed for a long time. We're going to use one of those double jumps just there to grab a teensy through the ceiling, because the attack range is so big. I missed the teensy spinning through the floor, so I've unfortunately got to go back and grab it. But now, this level, Enchanted Forest, I didn't really get the chance to actually explain it at all, because it's such a short level that we're already done with it with our 8 teensies from there. So you'll see at the end of the level, we get a cup for how many lungs we've collected. Lungs are just these small yellow collectibles throughout the level. They're not particularly important in most levels, so unless otherwise stated, we want to get as few of them as possible just to spend a little less time on that results screen. Now we're going to move on to Ropes Course, another Murphy level, and it's a bit of a longer level than the first 3 we've played. But it's another long level making heavy use of Murphy. So we're just going to start off by just making our way over here, where you can see there's the spikes blocking us. Murphy will then appear. Now we can start using him to get through the level and mess that up slightly and take damage that wasn't meant to be taken. We're going to do a big double jump over there just to avoid having to wait for Murphy to move a platform. And then we're going to go down here because there's a teensy, we need that. And this level also is the first level of the run where I'm actually going to be getting the King or Queen teensies in the level, which are the 2 extra ones I mentioned earlier. And that's because both of them are pretty much on the main path, and they're both pretty short ones, so as we need to get some of them just to get enough teensies throughout the game, we get the ones here because they're fast. So you'll notice I often try and skip using the Murphy's abilities. That's just because if we can avoid using them, and it's faster to avoid using them, then there's no point in using them. So here's our first queen room. As you can see, we're just falling down. There's a little mini goal to get through, and we're just going to run through there and use a back kick to just hit the teensy as fast as possible. When you clear one of those rooms, you get given a heart, so they're also useful for just getting us extra hearts in case we need a damage boost or just as an extra safety net. And here's our second one. We use a little rotating platform with Murphy. Just jump over to the king. That one's very short. Very easy one to get. But now we've got those two. This is the first level we get all 10 teensies in. And there aren't many levels we get all of them in, so it's nice to just get those few extra here. Oh gosh, because I tickled him, I didn't mean to tickle him there, and that just reset his position to mess me up. I had a bit of trouble grabbing that teensy, but that's all fine. We're going to use a YVY up just to skip a little bit of platforming, just to get up there faster, and then another break boost just to go fast along towards the end here, to the end of the level. So the next level is a much slower level. It's our first auto-scroller in the run, and that means there's not a lot to talk about. As it's an auto-scroller, it's going to be the first level where we actually want to collect as many lums as possible, because if we get 450 lums in this level, we will get a lucky ticket. And the lucky tickets, we need 10 of those throughout the run to unlock some Back to Origins levels later. So getting the lucky tickets is best to do either on levels with very low requirements for them, or levels that are slow and very easy to get a lot of lums in. So this one's a very good example of that, because as you'll see in a second, it's mostly auto-scroller, which makes it very easy to get the lums because we can't make it go any faster. So this is the start of the first auto-scroller section. And there's not really much to talk about in the auto-scroller, so now would be a good time for any donations there are.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just got a couple. Crispy generously donates £28. Thank you, Chris. He says, "Let's get to 4K." Well, I mean, we can try. I think that's a bit of a push, but yeah, let's give it a go. Six Pool donates £30. Says, "Keep on trucking." And the big man himself, Chiron, donates £5 and says, "Let's get this fat W, Gameroleon. You've got this."
Thank you. So we've just finished the second of the 3 auto-scroller sections of the level. And looking at my lum count, I have 282. I want at least 280 by this point, so as long as I don't make any mistakes at the end here, I should be good for getting my lucky ticket. And the end of this level is going to be the first example of using a second controller to gain some speed and skip stuff. There's a few points throughout the run where we're going to use 2 controllers for stuff. So by holding up and then pressing forwards while standing on player 2, for some reason you can just gain a ton of speed, and we can use that to just skip a bit of the level. I'm just going to turn them off before the end of the actual level. And that just let us get to the end of the level really quickly without having to wait for all of the platforms to fall in place. And we're going to use those co-op strats a few times throughout the run just to get past obstacles quickly. And you saw 452 lums, just enough to get the lucky ticket. So that's all good. So you may have noticed after the last level, and also after this one, we're going to get a pop-up saying we unlocked a world. But this time we've got the option to say no thanks, and we don't have to be warped back to the main gallery again. So this level is how to shoot your dragon. It's another long level with Murphy. And because it's so long, it's another level that's really easy to collect lums in, so we're going to get another lucky ticket in this level as well. get us 2 of the 10 we needed. And we're also going to collect just the 1 extra room teensy in this level, the queen just here. And this is an example of how YBY ups can really just break things, because we can just skip half the puzzle by just jumping straight up to the cage and grabbing the queen really quickly, instead of dealing with all the rotating the platforms you'd be expected to do. So we're going to coming up on a little damage boost just to clip through the floor and get to a teensy very quickly without having to wait to go around. And once we get up here, we've got another teensy, and then we're going to tickle this enemy just here, because if you tickle the enemies with Murphy, it makes the amount of lums for killing that enemy be doubled. And that's really helpful for just making sure we get enough for our lucky ticket in this level. But you don't have to tickle those enemies to kill them. It just makes them really easy to kill. But as you can see, with the length of Glowbox's kick, you can just kick through their shields and kill them anyway. Because we don't need all of these enemies to be doubled, we just only need a couple of them. And that one there is the easiest one to not double, because you can just go through it nice and quickly. So I'm currently at 397 lums. That's more than enough for getting the ticket. I made a slight mistake, but it's all fine. So you can see I'm at 426 lums. That's slightly lower than I normally would be at this point. But to get the lucky ticket from this level, I only need 410 at this point. So once again, I've got plenty. So in this section, we've got a new mechanic, which is firing punches. And that just gives us a little ranged attack. They come in 2 ways. The red charged ones from doing a spin, or the regular small blue ones. And the charged ones will go through whatever they hit and keep going. The blue ones stop off 1 hit. And in the Wii U version, that section's actually completely different. Instead of using the punches to get through the enemies, Murphy gets this really cool catapult he gets to use to shoot the enemies. But they couldn't figure out a way to make that work with the regular A button press of Murphy in the other versions, I guess, so we don't get that. But you can still see it in the painting for the level, as Murphy with his little slingshot. So, with that level done, we're now going into our first boss level. Right, we just got to beat the boss and get the 3 teensies from the level. And in levels with only 3 teensies, to get a gold cup, you only need 100 lums. So the lucky ticket is only 75. And you get 25 lums for each teensy you save. So all of these 3 teensy levels are guaranteed lucky tickets, which makes it kind of easy to hit the 10 we need, as like 6 or 7 of those guaranteed ones are done just through guaranteed ones. We do a restart sequence there because for some reason, once you kill all 3 of the enemies, it already has you registered at this checkpoint, which just lets you skip the animation of the dragon flying up to start the fight. There's a lot of waiting around in this boss fight. You've got to wait for him to just sit in the background. He's going to throw a load of fireballs. Stand on the side, you'll just completely avoid them, and then you can just do a little YBY up. Get really close to him and just kill that first phase incredibly quickly. The dragon's meant to take 5 hits, but standing that close to him means that both your kicks and the punches will go through it and register it twice, basically. I missed that teensy, I went a little early, but that's fine. And we're going to try something here. So if I jump twice on here and then jump over to the right... Oh, I didn't kick enough, so the camera locked, but that's a shame. I haven't failed that skip for a while. So if you jump over there and then kick twice, you can actually completely skip needing to do this second phase. And then you can just grab the 13th and restart sequence just once you're past the checkpoint to immediately just skip to the final phase of the battle. But unfortunately I failed that, so we're just going to keep going as if we got it, basically. And just grab that 13th down there, and we're at the last phase. Failing that boss skip costs about 30 seconds, which is kind of big, but it's not the end of the world. So it is a bit of a shame that we didn't get to show it, but I almost got it right, so you could sort of see the gist of doing that skip. The only hard part of the skip other than that is that the camera is locked really high up, so you've got to time grabbing the third teensy really carefully so that you don't hit the death barrier at the bottom. Now the dragon's just firing these long fire breaths at us. We just can avoid those really easily. And once he's here, we can just fail that last bit completely. So that boss went actually really badly, but that's fine. It's a marathon. But with that first boss done, we've got the Dark Teensy here. We're going to just do a charge punch, and we're going to send him flying. And he's going to just land on this tiny moon, and that's World 1 completed. To have the game beaten, you need to have all 5 bosses beaten, as the credits won't roll until all 5 of the Teensies are on the moon. And sadly, you may see there's one more level in this world, but it's a music level. Everyone loves the music levels, apart from speedrunners, because the music levels are very slow auto-scrollers that we don't want to actually play. Which is a shame, but we want to go fast. Having fun is banned, we must go fast. So we're going to go straight into World 2. And World 2 is where some of the most interesting bits of routing in the run come in, because we want to finish this world with exactly 100 Teensies. And there's a fair few ways you can go about getting that. The route I'm doing is pretty much the fastest. There's like one way that's about a second faster, but I prefer this way because it's just slightly easier for me. So we timed a boost out of the water so that we didn't land in a specific part. And that was so that we could just go through that whole section really quickly. And then we're going to go up to this room. And we're going to play some football. And we actually failed it. We want to just do a back kick to knock the football over to that teensy cage and break it for us. There's a few of those football rooms in the run. That one's very fast, so we want to do that. And then we just jump down and grab that teensy. And now we're going to start floating up, and you're going to see just how ridiculous YBY ups can be in a second, because I failed that one. But if you're in wind, then you've got the wind pushing you up. And if you do a YBY up in that wind, then you'll just launch into the sky really high. And I also did a ground pound under the bumper there to get launched up even higher. If you do one of them under a bumper, your character gets pushed up slightly in the animation for doing a ground pound, so you can just do the ground pound slightly below them, and then the game will recognize you hitting the bumper in a ground pound and give you the extra height you'd get from hitting a bumper like that. And that brings us to the end of World 2. Not World 2, end of the level. What am I saying? That's a fun one. And in this next level, we are once again going to be wanting to grab all 10 Teensies, because they're both very fast. Both of the extra ones are very fast in this one. This is a level where there's a bit of routing that's sort of up to you on whether or not you want to get all 10 of them or just get 9 of them. Personally, I prefer to get all 10. Some people prefer to get 9 and then get another one in a different level in this world. There's not really any time difference between getting them, so it's sort of just up to whichever you prefer, and I prefer it this way around. So, Winds of Strange, another Murphy level, and we're going to see a lot of use of, you see that on the right there, just before Murphy appeared, there was this little eye covered in spikes, and if Murphy slaps those, they'd create a wind current upwards, and we want to use those. Here, we want to just use those spikes to damage boost us up, just save a little bit of time getting up there before making our way over to the Queen. Didn't quite manage to get it there. What I wanted to do was ground pound under the first bumper and then just get bounced to the teensy, but I missed the ground pound. I was slightly late with it, so we just did the backup. Not much difference between them, just lost a tiny bit of time. Going to use a YVY to just skip the into wall jump and then ground pound this one. You just see, this is what I meant when I said we sort of play the game as intended, because we're not really breaking anything, we're just not quite following the exact routes they expected people to take. So we're going to ground pound under both of those bumpers, one after the other. We need to ground pound under the second one just because the first one doesn't quite give us enough height. And here we just got to rotate the bumpers to reach the teensy, preferably not taking 3 attempts to ground pound the first bumper. But sometimes those things happen. And we're just going to jump across there. We don't need Murphy. But here we do. We're going to jump into that wall and then have Murphy move the platform up. And that just skips us having to go all the way to the right. I forgot to activate Murphy there, but that's fine. Now we're just going to jump through the wind. Bounce off those 2 enemies. Don't need to bounce off them, but it's nice to do that. You don't have to worry about them. And reach the end of the level. There was also, at one point, there was a route consideration where you'd actually tickle some more of those big enemies in that level and get a lucky ticket there. But that idea was sort of made obsolete very quickly after people started trying it, so it's not necessary at all. And with this level complete, you'll see a pop-up saying we've unlocked Olympus Maximus. Olympus Maximus is the 5th and final world we want to play in the game. So all of the levels there are pretty much unlocked straight away, but because we don't have 260 teensies, we can't actually finish that world and beat the boss there, so we've just got to keep going through all the levels until we've got enough to do the final boss. This level has a lot of small moving platforms, and the way the platforms move is completely based on cycles. So the first half of the level, the cycles don't matter that much, but right at the end of the level, there's a trick I want to use that is entirely based on the cycles. Oh, I died. Oh, but it's fine. We just respawned just above where we were, and the teensy was still saved. So we just took a nice little intentional death there to skip having to fly back up to the top. And that intentional death is why you don't have to worry about cycles for the first half of the level, because when you die, the cycles always get reset to the exact same point. And the same also happens when you do a restart sequence. That king room is really fun because it looks menacing when you first see it, but you can just spin to the left and kick, and you'll grab the teensy there every time. As I'm gliding a lot in this level, now could be a good time to mention a little version difference between the old-gen versions, like Xbox 360 and stuff, and the new-gen versions of PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. That's a really minor one, but it's a really interesting, important thing, where, for some reason, the speed you glide at, moving forwards while gliding, is slightly faster on newer-gen versions of the game. And combine that with the completely non-existent loading screens on PS4 and Xbox One, and it makes PS4 and Xbox One the fastest in terms of real time. Although the lack of loading screens can be a bit of a problem for them because they can't grab a heart in those. And Switch, as you see, has incredibly long loading screens where it's very easy to grab the heart. However, there are some things that let people on the old-gen versions, especially people playing on PC, there are other things on the old-gen version that you can't do on new-gen, which means that all of the versions are pretty much the same in terms of speed running. There's not really a worst option, other than Wii U, which is its own beast, with its own Murphy style. Anyway, altitude quickness is one of the levels I was talking about, where there's an alternative option for grabbing a extra room teensy. And you'll see at the start of this Murphy section, if you climb up the wall on the left, you can just see the little hole in there, the Queen Teensy's in there. But I don't want to grab that, I just want to go through the level like this, and just get to the little chase section of this level. And I've got a heart here, I don't want to get hit for the rest of the level, because I want to keep that heart for the end, and there's nowhere else to get one. Oh shoot, well, I failed that, I guess. I tempted fate, because I wanted to ground pound that to just skip a little bit. But yeah, now I don't have a heart, which means I won't be able to do something cool at the end of the level, unless I can find another one. So you'll see Murphy is slapping some of those eyes to turn them into bumpers. And there's a section with those bumpers at the end of the level that I could skip if I had a heart, but unfortunately I don't, so basically, after climbing up here, you can see there are, just up here, there are 6 bumpers. And if I had a heart, I'd ground pound under the second one and use the vine on the right to just damage boost up to the top. But unfortunately, I took a hit earlier on, so I couldn't do that. But that's a very short, fun level with Murphy. And it's just pretty fun. The next level is When Toads Fly. It's another level sort of similar to Castle in the Clouds, where it's really cycle-based. But unlike Castle in the Clouds, you're moving incredibly fast through most of the level. So that makes it, for me, one of the hardest levels in the entire run, and if I can make it through without any mistakes or bad cycles, I'd be really happy. And you can also see it's one of those levels where we've got punches again to just slap the enemies in front of us. And there's a lot of enemies in this level, but we don't have to worry about them much because we've got our punches. But basically, this next section is really awkward. I want to do a break boost in the wind, which pushes me forward really quick. I want to grab that teensy up there as I'm going, and then do a YBY there, where I wanted to just sort of bounce off the ceiling, but keep going pretty much fast, straight, horizontally. Unfortunately, I guess I must have done the YBY slightly too early because I got sent down more than I wanted to, and had to take the hit, but ideally you wouldn't be slowing down until you had to glide up there. One more break boost here, just to shoot across this last wind section without needing to glide, and that brings you to the end of the level. It's a really short level, but because of how fast you're going, it can be really precise, and I'm really just glad that I didn't miss the teensy after the first break boost. Because if you miss that, then you've got to slow down, glide back to grab it, and you just lose all the speed you gained from that break boost. So that's already bringing us towards the end of World 2. We've just got a boss fight. And this boss fight has 3 phases and no checkpoints between the phases. So if you die, you've got to just redo the entire boss fight, which makes it really scary. So we're just going to do the start. There's a teensy just up ahead. We want to grab a few enemy kills just to get lungs. I actually got one fewer than I wanted, so let's go along here. Then once we're here, I'm going to turn player 2 on and do a co-op boost into the boss arena to actually completely skip him. And I'm just going to wait around briefly because I want to get a hit. Pan the camera slightly, grab the teensy. I think I grabbed it. Yeah, I did. And that's the World 2 boss. So all that stuff I was saying about it being hard, that was true, but the skip was discovered, so we don't have to do that anymore. And that's a fun skip. And you see, it ended with exactly 75 teensies, not teensies, lums. So even though I only grabbed 2 teensies, that's fine because we now have exactly 100 coming out of this level. And with 100 teensies and all of World 2 levels complete, we will now get a message pop up that we have to follow. And that will warp us back to World 1 because we have unlocked the invaded level for how to shoot your dragon. Invaded levels are mini time attack levels where you're going back through a level you did earlier, but with enemies from a different world, and they're just sort of fun 30-second time attack levels. And this one is really awkward because you're in wind, and I want to use YBY ups with angles on the analog stick instead of the D-pad I normally use, which makes it really precise, and I almost messed up, but we are not messing up. Just about making it through. I'm not going to try and do a YBY up there. So we finished that level in 27 seconds. That's a bit slower than I'd like to be. Quite a bit slower, but I messed up the YBY up, so that's fine. You're going to see I hit retry and then exited through the pause menu. You can pause during the countdown, and then when you exit the level for the invasions, you don't have to wait for the teensy count up animation, which just lets you move on to the next level with a bit less waiting time. So now that we've done World 2, we're actually going to go to World 5 now, which may seem weird, but the thing is, we need 135 teensies to unlock the boss of World 3, And if we went through and did all the levels there straight away, we'd actually fall a tiny bit short. So we're going to do the World 5 levels up to the end now, because we need to get those done at some point, and now's the best time. Because it'll mean we have enough teensies for all of the other bosses when we get to them. Starting this level with a co-op boost, just to shoot through this first section really quickly. But now, the level's called Shields Up or Down. So Murphy's gimmick in this level is he's going to be moving these shields back and forth to block fireballs, basically. And if you are standing on one of these shields as Murphy moves them forwards and then you jump, you get launched forward basically at the speed the shield was moving at, which just lets you go forward really quickly. It's naturally just known as a shield dash. Not shield dash, that's a different thing. That's a shield boost, and we're going to go into this room. It looks like a really long puzzle, right? But no, Blowbox can just kick through the wall and grab the teensy straight away, skipping the entire long puzzle and instead giving us a really quick teensy. So here we're going to do another shield boost, or at least we were going to try to until I failed it. And we want a shield boost there because it will just let us get through this whole section up to about here at a really high speed. Unfortunately, I failed the shield boost, so we didn't get to see that. But I'm sure you can imagine how fast I could have been going there. And now we've got our punches back. We're going to take a hit that I didn't mean to take, which might be scary in a minute, but it should be fine. Now the music changes here, it's all dramatic. We're going to spin off that shield, and as you spin off it, you fall off it, and that just lets you get under that wall of fire really quickly. And then you see our nice ancient Greece setting has gotten all dark and gloomy, as the hand of Zeus has appeared above us and is literally doing nothing. You do a ground pound there, and it sends down a bolt of lightning and saves that teensy for us. When an enemy such as that Zeus hand frees a teensy, you don't get the lungs for it, which is a nice tiny little time save. It also means I don't have to, slow down and grab it myself. I can just let the enemy get it for me, and then just run past the finish to get the very last teensy of the level. So next up is Dark Creatures Rise. And you'll see Dark Creatures Rise introduces these swarm enemies, which will chase you relentlessly within a certain range, and they're pretty much invincible. You can't kill them. You can just temporarily stun them to pass through them, but that stun literally lasts like a second, which makes them kind of scary because you've just got to move them out of your way with how they chase you, pretty much. So you see those first ones there, they don't really bother me at all. I just go over them and grab the teensy. I'm going to try something a little awkward here with some YBY-ups. I failed it, that's fine. It would have just been chaining together a couple of YBYs just to go fast. And in this hang room you can see I just went straight through those swarms and did a YBY up to grab that teensy. If you've got a heart and you're not confident with that YBY up, you can just damage boost off the swarm, but why do that when you can do fun tricks? Just break boost there, just I have never done that before. That was completely new. I've never missed that ground pound, but I'm quite impressed that actually worked out nicely because I've never had that happen. So we'll take that because it didn't kill me. Just want to keep grabbing the teensies. And I like how this world starts with your overworld sort of ancient Greece theme. Then there you were sort of in the underworld, and now we're just indoors. I don't know what this is meant to be. It's just indoors, I guess. Anyway, we actually didn't quite get the movement I wanted, but it's fine. We still saved the teensy. And then I'm going to take this safe because I don't have a heart. But if I had a heart, I would have made a slightly riskier move where I try and go under that first ring. But if I mess it up, I'd get hit by the swarm. So as it's a long way between the checkpoint and there, I thought, as I don't have the heart, I'll just take that safe and not risk getting hit. And then you just ground pound straight to the end of the level. We also saw, I want to say for the first time, but I can't remember. I think for the first time we saw the wall running mechanic of this game. If you're running and you go at a curved wall, we just can run up it. And there's not really any difference in mechanics when you're running up walls, apart from the fact that you can't let go of the run button, because if you do, you'll just stop and start wall jumping. And if you stop holding forwards or up or whatever, then you'll also just fall off it and start wall jumping. So you're just going to keep moving. Now we're in the Amazing Maze, which is very unique. It's instead of the usual layout, we've got a ton of small rooms, some of which have teensies in, some just to advance through the main level. And I couldn't actually tell you which ones in this level are the King and Queen teensies. I think I do actually know, but there's no difference between those extra 2 and the main 8, so obviously we're just going to get all 10 in this level because there's no cutscenes or anything as you get the extra 2, so there's no time wasted getting them. And also, the camera is flipped. It literally doesn't actually affect gameplay at all. It just looks upside down, but left and right is still the same. It's just messing with your perspective. So we're going to do a really risky YBY up here to get that teensy really quickly. And we got it first try. Didn't need to lose that heart. And you see we just did a little loop there, but now we've got through the actual maze. So now we're just sort of running for our lives towards the end of the level. And we're just going to jump through. There are no more teensies in the level, we're basically just done. So we're just going to quickly go through and jump up to the finish. And there we go. See, all 10 teensies, easy level. So now that we've done that, we are actually going to, for the first time, we're going to skip a level. The next level is really long and difficult, and because it's so long, it's just not actually worth playing it. It's faster to get teensies from other places, so we're just going to... You see, we've already unlocked the next level, we're just going to skip on past it and go to Swarmed and Dangerous. And like the name suggests, we've got those swarm enemies back chasing us in this level. And it's a lot more of them. Didn't quite get the YBY double jump I wanted there, but that's fine. This level starts off really awkwardly. I want to do a YBY forward, and then when I do that, I almost died. When I do that YBY forwards, it breaks a bone wall, and doing that means that I can double jump out of it even though I'm facing forwards, and that just lets me go straight over the first swarm. You'll see I land on the right of the platform there just to move the swarm before I could go and grab that teensy. I tried to use a kick to grab that ledge quickly, it didn't work out. And if you're in that wall run state, you can even run on the ceilings as you just saw there. But now we've got this long section, there are no checkpoints for a while, so this can be really scary as right here, you're going to see those swarms are falling from the ceiling. If I slow down at all, then they'll get me. And I just did another one of those YBY double jumps there using the things. And this last room has really slippery floor, and I didn't get to show it. It has the most finicky break boost in the entire game. It basically feels random. But if you can get the break boost off that's really slippery floor in this room, you'll be launched forward at the same speed as if you did a break boost in the wind or if you did a co-op boost or anything. And that just makes that last room really fun, but sadly I didn't get that, so you just had to go through it slowly. Ugh, going slow. As you can see there, 260 teensies to lock the next level, so we can't do that, so we're just going to leave this world for now and warp to World 3. We're going to skip another level, because the first level in this world is another really long and slow level that we don't want to play. So we're going to go to Spoiled Rotten. And now we're in the food world, and we've got a new mechanic introduced here, actually. In just a second, you see that little funnel? that makes Glowbox small. Small Glowbox is a bit different to regular Glowbox, as you can see he can do a whip sort of kick that pushes him forward slightly, but you can't do the regular spin attack or anything to go fast. You can just do that kick, and you can do that in all directions apart from down, which is just your normal ground pound. If you break an enemy or a teensy cage, you can get a boost like that. Here in another football room, but we're just going to jump straight to the teensy. That's way faster than using the football there. So we're not actually going to be playing football today. I meant to ground pound that. That might have messed me up for a cycle. It hasn't. I just about managed to double jump up to that funnel. So now that we're small again, another thing small Glowbox can do that I didn't mention is that he not only has his regular left or right kicks like that, but you can also do one up, which just lets you gain a little extra height compared to normal, and can let you just reach places you weren't meant to faster than you're meant to. So we've got one more funnel to use. And we didn't quite get it. If you time that ground pound perfectly, you can go straight into that watermelon where the teensy is without needing to try and awkwardly get in there, but sadly I didn't get it. If I'd got it, I would have been talking about getting a hole in one, because it's like, you know, golf getting a hole in one. So that brings us to the end of that level. That went really well. Sometimes I can miss the cycle with the platforms moving down to get to one of the funnels and lose like 5 seconds, but I got everything there pretty much as I hoped. So, next, we skipped the first level of this world, What the Duck. However, we are not skipping the next level, which means that we get to play a level as a duck, which is one of the strangest things in the entire game. I love it. The duck is really dumb and stupid, and it's just really funny. So, if you want to say quack quack for the duck in this level, then go ahead. It's duck time. You see the teensy just appears, turns us into a duck, and we can't go fast as ducks unless we slide down slopes like that. That's the only way I can go fast as a duck. Everything else is just running at this speed. If I try and... I'm holding the run button, so this is the fastest I can go. If I just get a sec, I'll show it, but if I try and do a spin attack like I normally would, you just see there he just kicks forwards like that, but doesn't actually go any faster. So we're stuck at this speed for the entire level, pretty much. But here we've got a little falling section, and if I can time this right... Oh, nearly. If you jump off that slope as it's coming out, then you'll get a massive speed boost and just shoot through that section, and it's really cool looking. And as you can imagine, because we're going so slowly as the duck, and we can't really go faster, apart from like here with the bumpers. But because of all this, as you might imagine, this is another lucky ticket level. We're already at 300 lums, which is good pace for getting the ticket. So this is another one of the levels that we want to play just for the ticket, pretty much. Because getting a ticket's always helpful just for going through later. Like I said, we need 10 tickets to unlock specific Origins levels later. So we're bouncing up here, and there's not much more to the level, so if you've got a donation, you could probably read one or two now.
Yeah, we've got a couple. I'm just going to refresh it just in case we've got any since the last few. Yeah, we just got two here. We have got £12.90 from Kazooie saying, let's go Samu, this run looks crazy. I've loved watching all the Smash lads support this great cause. It's no secret I didn't have a great 2020, but together we'll make 2021 even better. That is the spirit. Love to hear it. And
that's the end of the level, so you can do another one. We've got a loading screen, so you can do another one.
Yeah, we've just got this one more, and it's from Chile, £42 for the 14 bonks in the Mario Odyssey run. So thank you very much for that. And again, guys, if this is the last run, so if you got any last minute donations you want to get in, now's the time. It's all going for a great cause.
So now we're going to jump into Snakes on a Cake. This level, for some reason, has an absurdly long loading screen. I don't know why, it just does. I think it's because the level doesn't have any sort of multiple sections, but even then, like, the last level didn't either, so it just takes forever to load, and it's kind of annoying. But there we go, we finally got it to load, and I'm going to try and stand in a specific spot at the start here to fall down and get back up in one cycle, and I don't have to wait for the snake to cut through the cake again. I've been getting much better at making that in one cycle, and we're going to go into the Queen room straight away for another football room where we completely ignore the football and instead just jump over and fall down to the teensy. So now I've got that. I've got my heart from the Queen room, so now we're going to use this snake to just damage boost into that funnel. If you didn't have a heart, then you'd have to wait for that snake to make its way past, but because I had a heart, getting hit by it like that pushed me to the right, so I just got knocked into the funnel straight away. Nice and easy. We'll grab another heart here just for safety. And then, unfortunately, there's not a way to make this section faster. So we're just going to go up here, grab our teensy. I thought I was going to get hit there. Oh, that was not good. I don't know how I didn't wall jump there, but whatever. Just going to kick into that bumper, save a jump. And then now we've got to fall down here. I used one more glide than I normally would just to be safe, because if you take a hit, you're just going to get bounced between the walls like that, and there's a very good chance you'll die. I'm surprised I didn't. And you saw there was this little cutscene that I had to skip. On old-gen versions, for some reason, if you fall pretty much in the place I'm in, the cutscene trigger is not at that all the way to the right there. So on old-gen versions, you can actually skip that cutscene, and that's one of the little things that I mentioned earlier on a sort of little balancing for the people on PC. And spinning really close to the teensy there means that you just... his flying contraption refreshes your spin if you hit it, so I can just mash the Y button to just keep spinning and keep going along there at pretty much top speed. And yeah. So that brings us to the end of that level. And with that level cleared, and also with the last level cleared, we've just about got enough teensies to unlock I've Got a Feeling Invaded. Which is, you know, another good reason for doing our slow-seeming duck level. Beyond the fact that it's not actually that long. We basically get 12 teensies and a lucky ticket out of it, so it's a pretty productive level. And this level has a little weird quirk where you saw the lava was falling at the start of the level. If you restart, then it actually falls slightly later, and you'd have to wait slightly for it. But if you're playing on Switch and you die past a certain point in the level, for some reason the countdown is delayed slightly, and it means you don't have to wait for it at the start again. It just makes it slightly easier to grind this invasion for IL scores on Switch than other platforms. It's just a little funny thing. And we thought retry exit level, like I said earlier, it just skips us waiting when we come out of the level. And only takes like half a second to set up. So there you see, we just go straight on. And this next level, Lucha Libre Getaway, I actually hate this level. Because I'll explain why in just a sec once we get to why I don't like it. Because it starts off alright. A bit awkward, but it's fine at the very start. As you may also have noticed on the loading screen, this is another one of those 3 teensy levels, which again means very easy lucky ticket. Just going to use a damage boost there to skip waiting. And now once we get through this cutscene, we're going to see this guy chasing us. And you can't really make him go faster than he is going. So he has to be there. He has to get to a certain point for the level to end, which means that basically this level turns into an auto-scroller. And even if you tried to go fast and hope you'd rubber band, no, don't go fast, because if you go too fast, he won't rubber band. He'll just completely despawn, and that will leave the level impossible unless you die or restart sequence. And obviously, we don't want that to happen. Like, in a practice run the other day, I had him despawn there, and it was really awkward. The other reason I don't like this level is you see the snakes at this part of the level. As you see, I had to stop for a second, because if I didn't... Oh, there. I thought I'd waited long enough, but I hadn't, and they show up, and they just kill me, because you can't go too fast there. If you do, then the snakes will just not have... They won't have cleared the path, and they'll be in the way. Which means you just gotta wait for them. Which just makes the last section of this level really slow and irritating, because you can't do it as fast as you'd like to. But basically, if for some reason you'd managed to despawn as the big guy, as he makes his Terminator reference, if you'd managed to despawn him when you get to here, then you wouldn't get the little cutscene of him sinking into the lava, and you'd just be stuck there. And I'm pretty sure if you got to that point, you'd have to restart sequence to get him to come back, because I don't think you can actually die there, so you have to use restart sequence. Because restart sequence is basically the same as dying. It functions the exact same way in terms of how the level cycles work. So they're basically the same thing. And now you can see we've made it to our World 3 boss. And this is a very slow boss. There's literally nothing happening for most of it. So we're going to just see at the start of this little cutscene, we got our giant luchador here. And he's going to try and smack us. He's not very accurate, but we've got to wait for him to go through all of this. Grab the teensies when they appear, and then we've got to wait for him to swipe this platform away as well. Now, I'm actually going to turn my Player 2 controller on. As we hover into that bumper. You might have noticed I did the hit with him at the end there with Player 2. Player 2 can act out of moving from that blue bumper slightly earlier than Player 1. It's literally like a tiny fraction of a second, but it is faster, so I do it. And now this phase is incredibly long. I've got to wait for him to knock away 4 out of the 5 platforms here. If I die, I've got to go through the whole thing again. If there are any more, I don't know if there will be, it's not been that long, but if there are any more donations, now would be a really good time for them. I'm going to assume there aren't any more. But that's fine.
I don't believe there are currently. Also, I'm chilling here too because Sharnock is having some internet issues, so may be cutting in and out, unfortunately. Hello.
That's awkward, but there we go, we got through that phase anyway, so that was the bit that I was thinking donations would go over anyways. We're done with that. Got our second hit. Gonna get launched up to grab that teensy, and this last phase is really fun. We've got to dodge all of the fireballs. There's lots of them to dodge. And we've got to wait through all of this, but at least I'm actually doing something in this phase. So it's a lot more fun than the first two. And you're actually going to see here, I'm going to deliberately get hit, just to lose the heart and save a little bit of time on the results screen. We're going to get launched up one last time. You're going to see the worst aim in the world. He just completely missed. I don't know what he was trying to hit. And that's the boss beaten. As you see, there's our third Dark Teensy. Launch him away. And you can notice that I'm skipping the cutscene, but you might have been able to hear it. The little devil creatures on that moon are now using the Dark Teensies as musical instruments, which is kind of cruel, but they're meant to be evil, so they probably deserve it. So that's fine. And that brings us to the end of World 3. Once again, no music level, but what can you do? Now we're going to move on to World 4. We're going to just use that suitcase menu, go all the way to the left, take our quick warp to World 4. As the world name suggests, 20,000 Lums Under the Sea, this is our water world. It's a fun combination of sort of water and a spy theme, which is really fun to go through. So this level is going to introduce us to two things. Swimming, which we've seen a little bit before, but not really explored. And the other thing you're going to see in this level is these searchlights, that if you spend too much time in there, they will damage you. So you don't want to spend too much time in them. Underwater, we have full 360-degree movement, which is cool. So I use the analog stick in water levels, unlike pretty much everywhere else, so I was using the D-pad. And you can just see, with timing our spins through these, trying to get through the gaps in them, just to make sure we don't take damage. I'm going to wait a little bit. It didn't quite work. I wanted to get through that one without taking a hit, because that would mean I could use that damage boost here instead. But unfortunately I had to just wait for that to spin around, because otherwise I would have taken a hit. There's one more thing to talk about while moving underwater, and that's a trick known as the Water Mega Boost, where if you spin off an enemy... Did I get the teensy? Just about got him. Literally just got him. Anyway, the Water Mega Boost is if you hit an enemy or something with a spin, normally that refreshes your spin and you can press Y again to do another one. If you press Y and B in the same time, it sort of cancels your second spin's animation and lets you do a third one just off hitting one enemy, when normally you can only do 2 spins off one enemy. So that just lets us go along at that faster speed from spinning for a little longer than you're meant to. So when underwater, you sort of want to use as many of those as you can. And you get those mostly off killing enemies. There's another thing that can give them that I'll mention a bit later. But after that first underwater level, we're not going to be underwater in this next one. The next one is the Deadly Lights, and it's a level where we've basically got Murphy exploring how to mess around with those searchlights a bit. So we hit the trigger for Murphy here. And then you can see Murphy, if I press the A, he presses that little button, which activates little platforms for us that block the light. Here, we want this enemy to target us and start attacking. There's an enemy down there with a teensy, and we're just going to go past him for now. So now, if you pay attention to the teensy cam at the top right, you'll see we got 2 teensies, even though I only seem to get 1. Because that enemy I mentioned wanting to face us, that enemy is going to basically use one of those electric bolts. That's going to bounce off the platform and kill the other enemy that had the teensy. And he's just going to save it for us. Good guy, that one. Clearly realised that Glowbox was not his enemy. So here we're going to kick through the ceiling and then do a really big damage boost. That gives us a ton of height to just skip a little bit of slow wall jumps. And just skip another use of Murphy back with another roll jump. I thought I was going too fast and would take a hit. As I don't have a heart, obviously I can't take another hit. Oh, and now's probably a good time to mention, if I didn't already, that every time I die, I'm going to be donating £1 to Mind. And there's a little counter at the end of the game that tracks the amount of times I died, so I'll just use that. So that will be including my intentional deaths, and I don't actually know if that includes restart sequences, but if it does, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's also fine. You just saw a minute ago Glowbox kicking through a wall to grab a teensy, and another teensy was just buried as a little plant sprout. And you just gotta know that that one's a teensy. Maybe listen out for the teensy calling for help. Now, very sadly, the next level is also skipped. And it's just skipped because it's really long, and that's a shame because it's possibly the most creative, one of the most interesting levels in the game to me. But unfortunately we can't play it, it's too long, so we're going to do this level instead, which is much shorter but much harder. But you know, we want to be fast, we don't want to be slow. We want to get a move on. So we're going to use a YBY up to just skip going around the outside. And this is another Murphy level with the searchlights. It's kind of very similar to the Deadly Lights in a way, because they're both just using Murphy with the searchlight system. But here, I'm actually going to try and get through that door without using Murphy, just because I don't need to wait for him. And this room too, I'm going to try and avoid using Murphy. Just do a damage boost as I grab that teensy. Just because if I use Murphy, I'd have to wait for him to move. And I don't want to wait, I want to go fast. But now that I've used that damage boost, I've got a long way to go with no heart. Here, I'm going to use a roll attack that hits through that floor and kills an enemy that is holding a teensy. He's like jumping on the teensy or something, but that roll attack means that it's going to hit him and save the teensy for us. Now, here we are actually going to be waiting for Murphy to move back and forth. Because if we didn't, we'd just get hit by the lights and we don't have a heart to damage boost. And here we're going to see the light just alternating before we finally get to a king room and we can get our heart back in a sec. Gonna have Murphy move in this one just because otherwise we would be falling a bit too long through that light. As you can see, a very short one, very much on the main path. I'm just going to use this little sliding puzzle. I almost got hit, that wouldn't have been good. And we get into another one of these old rooms where we've got to wait for Murphy to move the light around. This time we do actually have to wait. However, there is another damage boost that can be done in a sec. There, just get through there a little faster. And in this last room, we're going to just jump up here and skip the whole section on the left, just because we can. Before getting that little hidden teensy under there, and we're done with the level. That level used to be a massive killer for me, so I'm really happy that that level went pretty much perfectly in one try with no mistakes. So that was very good. Sadly, I know I said we skip levels if they're too long, but unfortunately the next level is required to unlock the boss level of this world, which means we've got to play this next level, Elevator Ambush, which has two really slow auto-scroller sections, and we have to play it. There's no way around it. Which means we've got to just take this long 5-minute level, because there's nothing better we can do. As you see, you can tell it's a long level when the loading screen lasts forever. And it's really a shame that this level's so long with two auto-scroller sections, because the parts of it that aren't that are honestly really fun in my opinion. Like, falling down there to the end there is really fun. But here we are on the first elevator. As you can see, it's just slowly moving down. I don't want to deal with these enemies, so I'm just going to spam wall kicks in this top corner. And just not worry about the enemies. I'll let them all sort of build up on the platform. If I kill the enemies, then I'll just get a load of lumps, and like I said, we don't want to get too many. We do want to get a lucky ticket in this level, but getting them here is not necessary. Which just says about how long and how many lumps there are in this level, I guess. You bounce off that guy as he appears, and that's the end of this section. So we made it down to the bottom of this lift. As you can see, if you die like right near the end of one of these sections, it's one of the most painful deaths in the entire run. A little bit of a mistake with the movement there, but it wasn't that bad. Gonna use a double jump just to get over that. Because those big enemies, they can throw one of two things. They can either throw one of those electrical power things, which are not very nice. We don't want to deal with those. They hurt. Alternatively, they can throw rubber ducks, which push you back, but they don't damage you. And also, if you see spinning really close to those missiles, the game thinks you've hit them or something, and it refreshes your spin in the same way that hitting an enemy would. which is very helpful. But after that short underwater section, we've got another lift. And we're going to kill the enemies on this one because we can't just spam wall jumps in this one. So I'm just going to kill them because I don't want to let them build up and accidentally kill me, because, like I said, if I die on one of these, there's no checkpoints on them, so it would be like losing a minute if I died. So, if there is any, I don't know if there will be, but if there is, then another good time for a donation, but it's only been like 10 minutes since the last time I asked, so...
well, actually,
I
we have got just one more in from Anonymous, donating £3.80, saying, awesome run for a great cause. Let's go, Samu.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the elevator. That was pretty much perfectly timed. And now we see another one of our dark teensies there. If we go fast with a break boost at the start of that section, it keeps the punch we got on screen for the whole time, and it lets us kill that enemy really quickly. There you can just see there, just as I killed him, he had a little rubber ducky. Gonna use a 1v1 up to skip a wall jump. I literally thought of that yesterday, and it works. And another one to just skip going around the right, just to get through this room. And that room's sort of what I'm talking about with, this level's really fun in the sections that aren't auto-scroller. But because it also got 2 auto-scroller sections, it just turns out to be really long and annoying. And now, if you see those bubbles on the screen, they represent a sort of little current pushing us down. I'm going to just damage boost there, just to cut a corner. I don't know if it really saves time, but it also means slightly fewer lungs, so that's fine. And then we're going to go through here, bounce off the enemy, and we're finally done with this level. And as we don't get the king or queen, you can see that was a really long level for just 8 teensies. And as you can also see, because I killed all of the enemies, we absolutely smashed the target for the lucky ticket in that level. And that should be the 8th lucky ticket I got. The next 2 levels will both also be lucky ticket levels, as they both are 3 teensy levels, so they're guaranteed lucky tickets if I get all 3. This one is, there's always a bigger fish. I guess it's calling the enemy in the painting a fish. I'd say it's more of a sea serpent or something, or a sea dragon, I don't know. It's not really a fish in my opinion. But this level is pretty much entirely underwater, and it's again got those little currents I was talking about. But in this level, they push you really quickly. And you can just see our little dragon chasing us. And with the currents and the lights, we can try and cut these corners really tight. Like that. These are going really well. These are really good angles. Oh, that's perfect. And that just gets us through that first section really quickly. You can see I was using the lasers. They take a little bit of time before they hit you, so you can just swim through them and not have to worry. And now we're back above land, and we've just got to wait. I don't want to lose my heart here, so got to be kind of careful. But we made it through all good. Just jump over here, we're back in the water, back in the currents. These lasers damage you if you touch them, so we're going to touch them and take a damage boost through the laser to just skip going around to save about 3, 4, 5 seconds. I don't know how many exactly, I'd say 5 seconds. And then just use these geysers to push up, and then we're done with the level. And with that sound effect, it really sounds like we're flushing the dragon down the level. Yeah, there's always a bigger fish. That went basically perfectly, actually. Which is really good. As you can see, easy lucky ticket. And we're going to just take that, go through, and we're going to take it to the boss now. If we had a regular dragon fish thing in that level, we're now going to have a mechanical one. We also reached level 4 awesomeness. That doesn't really mean anything for main game. Madman's creation. I wanted player 2, but it's fine. We don't need it for the start. It would have just been a little co-op boost to save a couple of seconds at the start, but it's not necessary. Oh god. I didn't think I was going to get hit there. There's a death. It had been going so well for a while, but there the deaths are back. That time we didn't die, so that's good. And now you can see we're running on this weird spine platform. When we hit that button, it wakes up, and it's got spines that it's curling around that thing. You guessed it, that's our mechanical dragon boss for this world. And it's honestly kind of weird, because the whole world had the sort of underwater spy theme, and then suddenly for this level, it's suddenly turned steampunk. But I can't say I don't like it. It's really cool aesthetic for this level. And you can see there, he's got a huge laser coming from this crystal in his mouth. We're going to just smack that once he stops firing the laser. And that's how we damage him. I thought I wasn't going to hit the platform. These platforms just appear nicely, they just are there. You don't have to act like they aren't there, even though they aren't always. Because they'll always be there by the time I want to land on them. And for the second phase, it's sort of like the first one, except we don't have platforms, we just got a little wall in our way for it. And we're just going to use the wall to block the laser. And we'll go around, take a damage boost just to get up there a little faster. And that's our second phase. And now you can see this bit's sort of falling apart. We're going to go under here just to be a bit faster. And then we're going to do a brake boost just to go fast along here, slightly faster than being pushed by the water. And I'm going to ground pound that bumper. And we're flying over the third boss arena for the level. As even though it doesn't look to be ground here, there it is. And we're standing here because, as you can see there from our player 2, there's actually an invisible death barrier. So we're going to do a really complicated seeming clip to just go through the death barrier completely. That's known as a co-op clip or a co-op zip. It's somewhat similar to the co-op boost in that it involves standing on the player 2, but this time it physically warps the second player for a brief second, and they're meant to snap back on top of Glowbox, but if you kick and jump, then you can stay in that position you warped to, and it just lets you get past that death barrier. There's one other place in the run it could be used to get through a wall, but it's really awkward to position that one, so I don't use it. But that's a really interesting trick. It's different to the co-op boost because the co-op boost actually puts the character at max speed. That one doesn't. So they just sort of stop once they've warped. And that can only be done if the player standing on the ground is Glowbox. It's some weird quirk with his hitbox. Anyway, we died there by accident, but now we've done all of the main levels we want to do, so now it's time to just do a bunch of invasions to grab some teensies. And these invasions are all like 30 seconds long. If you die, then you're sent back to the start. No checkpoints on any of them, which makes this honestly the scariest part of the entire run. Oh, okay, that's fine. And we're just going to go up here. And there's that one done. Just under 29 seconds. And it's here where you're really going to see me using the retry exit levels strategy, because we're doing a bunch of these invasions, and just doing that lets me just get out of them really quickly. We just wanted to do that one invasion in this world. That's the only one we've got unlocked. So now we're going to go and do 3 invasions in World 2. And these 3 are honestly 3 of the scariest for me, especially this first one, When Toads Fly. Because it's pretty short, but it has a lot of enemies and lightning stuff. It's When Toads Fly, but with World 4 enemies. Even the start here is scary, because I can get hit by that missile very easily. But we're just going to go under here, take out the missile. Going to do a kick here, just to make sure I go under those electric things. And fly up here, jump off that Toad's parachute. If I don't, then I die, pretty much. And we got the first try. 24 seconds, pretty much what I hoped to get, so that's very good. And there's one down, just a few more to go. And you can imagine that just a death right at the end of these That's immediate 30-second time loss, way much more than most deaths would cause. And you can see the TNC's counting up as I'm moving to the next one, which is really cool. Anyway, altitude quickness, world 3 enemies are here. We're once again going back through the level, so originally there was, lots of wind pushing us up as we'd climb up. This time we're falling down. And we're going to use those bumpers and just... I'm not sure if I'm going to make this. I did. Okay, that's fine. Oh, no, never mind. I took too long and I died. There's one invasion death. Actually, that's the second one, but never mind. This is one of the ones I die a lot on, so that's fine. You just want to spin here, do a short glide to avoid that one, and then you can fall down this last section without waiting for those snakes to go past, but seeing as I've already had one death on this invasion, I'm definitely not going to risk it because it's the last obstacle of the invasion, so if I miss it, I'm dead and I'm losing 30 seconds. And I don't want that at all, obviously. There we go, altitude quickness. Not too much trouble for me, so that's nice. So now, Castle in the Clouds. This is another heavily cycle-based invasion, and starting the level like this is actually a really bad cycle, which is a shame, but the best cycles for me normally would happen when you die, but we don't want to die, so we just gotta make it with this. That first section's the bit where the cycle's important, so it's all fine from now on. And that's a jump that sometimes kills me, it's all good. Just jump up here, and it's good, 28-second clear. And now, finally, after so much time spent in the game, we are finally going to do a Rescue Princess level. Because I'm pretty sure that's meant to be part of the plot, is that the Tzitzis have kidnapped the 10 princesses of the world, and you're meant to go and save them. And we're just going to do this one because it's really short. It's called 600 Feet Under. It's very much like a type of the daily challenges known as the Never-Ending Pit. And that's literally just falling like this. As you can see, there's not much in my way, I'm just falling. And for those who don't know, I actually mostly play this game for the online challenges. Pretty much every day, daily challenges reset. And this game has a very active IL community that play the challenges every day, sharing strats. Most of the speed tech discoveries in this run were made by people that play challenges. And yeah, challenges are really fun. So if you want to play them, every console apart from PC still has completely functional challenge servers now. PC, for some reason, they died and Ubisoft don't seem to care about fixing them. So that's a shame. We are now finally using our 10 lucky tickets. And despite their name, there is no run-affecting RNG in the lucky tickets. The 5th and 10th tickets will always be a Back to Origins painting, and either the 7th, 8th, or 9th ticket will always be a teensy. Which means if we collect 10, we get everything we needed for the run, and there's nothing to worry about. So there you see, there's our first painting, we've got 5 left. And then we also get these creatures. Creatures are useless, they just give you lumps like every day, and that's literally all they do. No one cares about them. Everyone forgets they exist. And there we go, there's our teensy. Just 2 more. We're going to get lums from this one. And then from this last one we're going to unlock yet another Back to Origins painting. There we go. And because that was the one we unlocked last, we're going to do that one first, just for less movement on the suitcase menu. Unfortunately, we got to go through and see them unlock. And there we go. We're doing 2 levels from Rayman Origins in this run. Best Original Score and Geyser Blast. The reason we do them is just because they're short. And in case you're wondering, it's not worth getting more lucky tickets for possibly faster levels, because the 15th ticket, I think, would unlock another Origins level, but the one it would unlock is one of Origins' Mosquito auto-scroller levels. I meant to turn off player 2 before exiting that room. Let's do that now. I meant to press the minus button, and I said hit the capture button on my Pro controller. But there we go, that's the little co-op boost at this level, just to go fast. We're going to kick through the ceiling to save a teensy up there. And back to Origins levels. They're, you know, Origins levels from Rayman Origins, but they've been put in Legends. And Origins didn't have the teensies that we have in this game. They just had Electrums in each level. And each Origins level would have like 3 of them in each level, and 2 of them have been just replaced with the King and Queen teensies, and the last one is our 8th regular teensy at the end of the level. And because of that, the other 7 teensies in our levels, they're just put in random places that maybe there was a skill point, maybe it just was a really fitting place to put a teensy. Either way, it just lets us collect a nice 8 teensies here and move on. So now that we've done that one, we're going to do our other Back to Origins level, which is Giza Blast. It's a shame that the next ticket, or maybe even the next 2 ticket levels, are auto-scrollers, because the second one in the World 2 of Origins is really good. But sadly, it would require a ridiculous amount of lucky tickets to even unlock, which would just not be worth taking the time to get. So we just want to go to the left there to get that little teensy. I think in Origins, if you went to the left there, there'd be the magician talking to you. And also, that teensy under the second teensy I got in Origins and in old-gen versions of this game, there was this weird hand thingy that if you got too close, it would grab you and kill you. For some reason, in the new-gen versions of this game, they decided to patch that enemy out of the game entirely, which just makes getting that teensy really safe and easy. And I don't know why they did it. But I'm not complaining, seeing as I'm playing on a new-gen version. Am I going to make it through? Yeah, I made it through fine. And we just want to grab our King Teensy in here. He's a nice fast one. As you saw at the end of the last level, all of the King, Queen, and last Teensy rooms, you need to kill all of the enemies in the room to free the cage. And it's not too complicated to kill all the enemies in that one. We don't really need to go underwater, but it's interesting that we can actually go underwater in these, when in Origins you wouldn't have unlocked the power to swim at this point. But in Legends, you have all of those powers in Origins, or in Origins you have them all unlocked by default. Which is really nice, because it just means you're playing with a full moveset from the start and you don't need to unlock anything. And that there is the last main level we're going to be collecting teensies in. We just have to do 4 more invasions and we can go on to the end of the run. And the 4 invasions we're going to do are all in World 1, because we have 4 unlocked there. And you can see we've got 248, we just need 12 more and we get 3 teensies for each level. And you can see the 4 of them unlocking here. This first one we're doing here, Ropes Course, is honestly one of my biggest run killers ever. And I don't know why, because it's not a particularly hard level. I just always try and go too fast and do risky things and die. And it's so late in the run that, you know, we don't want to do that. We just want to finish it nicely and safely. So there, we're just going to bounce over those enemies. You can do... The shields they're standing on can actually be landed on for a brief moment. And you can spin off those there. That's why I died, because of moments like that. Anyway, the shields they're standing on, you can land on those and spin off them really quickly. But it's pretty precise, and I don't want like going for those in any percent. In the IL run of this level, you'd be doing like 3 shield boosts. And I'm going to be finishing this level in like basically 30 seconds. And the world record is literally like 23.99 seconds by a player named Martini, who really wanted me to just give him a shout out during this run at some point. So there you go, Martin. There's your shout out on the level you have world record in. There you go. Speaking of world records, I've never had any Invasion world records, sad times. But, you know, I do play the Invasions a lot, and they're really fun. So next up is Quicksand, and we're going to actually try and do a really fun trick in this one that's pretty complicated. So I'm going to be using the analog stick for this level, because I want a very precisely angled YBY up in a minute. And with D-pad I can't get that angle, but with analog stick I can. So there, if I do an angled YBY up and a delayed jump, I can't believe I missed the wall jump. I missed the easiest part of the trick and I died. Anyway, I'm going to try that again, because I can. Because I died by accident. I didn't actually want to die there. I wanted to just go and do the level normally, so we'll try it again. There you go. I made it up to the top, and now with a brake boost going over here, we're running along the ceiling of the level and skipping a large portion of it. So that's really cool. If you do the brake boost on top at an angle, you can actually get across there even faster. But I didn't want to go for that because it's really precise. But even going across the top like that is, with the way I did it, is just as fast, if not slightly faster than doing the level normally. And I really wanted to get that in the run because it's really cool looking, just ignoring the level like that. So now that that one's done, we've got just 2 more left. And really fittingly, our last 2 invasions are the first 2 levels of the game we played, Creepy Castle and Once Upon a Time. And this one has been invaded by World 4 enemies, so you know what that means. It's an underwater level. So even though we're going through this one in the same direction as we originally did, we're going to be doing it underwater now. And it's an invasion where you're really going to see use out of those water mega boosts, because here we're actually against the clock, so going fast is important. And that was a really good run. 25.7 seconds is like not particularly far off my personal best. It's like not even 2 seconds off that, which is really good. So finally, we have made it to our last one. And this is a slightly longer one, so I'd say this is the last chance. If you've got any final donations, now's a good time to read them.
No problem, I'll just have a quick little look. Let me just refresh. I don't believe so. Now the last one was the anonymous one that I read before, but again guys, final push. We nailed the oh my god, I keep storing. We nailed the last boss of the last run of the event. So any last minute donations, get them in. Give us a funny message, and again, it's all going to Mind, which is a good charity for a good cause. So let's get this last little push in.
There we go. Done with that last invasion. Just under 30 seconds again. That one's actually one of my favourites. And yeah, there we go. That's all of the invasions we're doing in the run. We've just got 2 more levels, and we don't need to collect any more teensies. So we can just take our warp to World 5. And there you can see our last 2 levels have been unlocked. And fittingly, this last regular level, Hell Breaks Loose, is one of the hardest levels in the entire run. Which is, you know, really nice. We've just done an hour and a half of speedrun, and now we've got a really hard level right at the end to mess me up. Because the game wants you to use our wall run mechanic to run down these walls, but we don't like to do that. That's slow. We're just going to fall down it. Just gliding every so often to avoid obstacles. And we've got Murphy for it as well, because it wouldn't be right if we end the game without one final Murphy level. And in this level, we're chased by 3 dragons. And we're just going to fall down here, move these spiked wheels out of the way and then just fall. So the first falling section has 2 of those spiked wheels. This one has 3. And like I said, we don't want to get the teensies in this level. In fact, we specifically want to avoid them in this level. Because every teensie we get means we have to wait an extra half-second or so on the results screen. And we don't want to do that. So we're just going to fall down here. And that's the hard part of the level done in one try, which is always a relief. It didn't even take damage, which is good. So now we're just going to kill these dragons. Murphy will do that for us by moving the platform. And there we go. That's the end of our last regular level. I just wanted to do a couple of YBY ups there to skip the slope, but it didn't quite work out. And then you see literally 15 lums in the level. Don't need to get any. And when we come out of the level, we're just going to immediately be able to jump into our final boss. And now is a very good time to explain one last little trick that's made use of, where if you do a ground pound and then immediately kick in the opposite direction you are facing, you'll see Globox does a kick like that. And I'll want to be spamming them like this in the final phase of this boss, and you'll see why in a minute. And we're just going to take these bounces up to this little pedestal. And you can see those swarm creatures in the foreground. The final boss is literally just a bunch of those swarm creatures mashed up into a giant hand. But fortunately, now that they're like this, for some reason they can be killed. So you see charge attacks melt through the boss like that. And that's the first phase already done. And we want to restart sequence when we are done with a phase, just to skip needing to glide up. We're going to skip that second teensie because we don't need him. Sometimes I grab him for luck, sometimes I don't. It's completely optional. Because as time is before we exit this level, it doesn't matter whether or not we get him or not. And we just want to mash our air kicks here to just get through him. Because as you can see, each individual kick doesn't get through much of that boss. So we need to do a lot of them just to get through. There's the end of our second phase. On the first frame of the restart sequence, I actually am mashing the jump button, and that gives us an instant jump that just lets us fly up a little faster. So now we just fly up here, and this is our third and final phase of our final boss. And while the first phase was like a hand and the second phase was these 2 little creatures, this one's a lot more menacing looking. And because we've got this ground, the back kicks that I was talking about count as a charge punch, which means that we can melt through that final phase like it was not there at all. And I just got to do a few more kicks. Unfortunately, I didn't get in one rotation, I normally do. There was just a tiny bit too much answer on the left. But that's our final boss beaten already. You'll just see, we've got a little short run to the finish, so we're going to do one last co-op boost here. Just because it's fast. And then time is coming up. Right. Time! That's Rayman Legends. You'll see the guy just slapped into the pig's butt constellation. And now all 5 of them are on this moon. Turned into a music concert for those little devil creatures. They make pretty nice music, actually. And with all 5 bosses beaten, we have activated the credits. So the game is done. I hope you guys enjoyed that run. It went really well, actually. Way better than either of my practice runs.
Do you want to know your final time? Or do you know it?
Please. I split like a couple of seconds late at the end there. So what did you get?
1:35.56 on our clock. Congratulations.
Okay, that's what mine got, but I split a little late, so it's probably more like 1:35.54. That's really good. That's about 2 minutes off my PB, which is much better than any of my practice runs. And I honestly felt more relaxed in this one than I did in my practice ones where I was doing commentary.
Well, that's good to hear. Really I'd like to add as well, Chili is in with the £10 donation. Can't handle it being below 3.7k like this. Box in chat right now. That's an order. And we have just passed 3.7k. So we're coming out of the final run, £3,704 and 2 pence. So well done, everyone.
Thank
you so much for that. Hell yeah.
And I've got a donation of my own I need to make after this run. Because now that I'm done, I want to go and check the fails counter to see how many times I died. Because, like I said, I'm donating £1 for each death. So let's go and see what it was. I'm honestly kind of annoyed because I forgot to actually tag some people that I was starting the run. I just got so caught up in the preparation. It seems that not freeing the second teensy was good luck for me today. I was thinking of doing like a little incentive on whether or not I get it, but I forgot to. 10 fails, that's really good!
Yeah, nice.
For reference, my PB has like 7, and my practice run I did 2 days ago had 30. So that's really good.
That's seriously impressive stuff. Well done, man. Really good.
So yeah, that's me done. I will go and make that donation now.
That's Rayman. Thanks very much. I don't know if you'd like to plug the page. I don't know if you'd like to plug yourself if you stream this or anything like that. Would you like to tell the chat?
I stream most days. Sort of mid-afternoon with speedruns of either Rayman any percent, Rayman online challenges, or Super Mario Odyssey any percent, which I took up a couple of months ago, and it's really fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I just got back to go AFK for a second, as if it would be right at the end of the run. But yeah, that was sick. That was sick. Very well done. Thank you so much.
I hope you guys all enjoyed that. It's great.
Yeah, really fascinating. Really interesting run. Thanks, man.
And Isaac, I'm not sure if you read it out on stream while I was away, but we finally broke 3,700 thanks to Chili donating £10. We did? Well, yeah, thank you very much.
Hell yeah.
I know.
So with that, we're just going to have the other organisers come into the VC in a minute for a little wrap up. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Samu.
You're welcome. That's great.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Gamo 2021. Basically, oh god, that was one hell of an event, wasn't it, lads? That was one hell of an event. It is obviously it's taken us nearly up to 2.5 months. Jacob, I'm looking at chat. I'm going to tell you, Jacob said I do it. That's why I'm leading the way because Jacob told me to do it. So we'll all have our piece. We'll all have our piece. Don't worry. But we've planned this for a good 2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours. Sorry, 2 months.
Whole 2 hours.
2 months. Sorry.
Really impressive. You're very smart.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's been as successful as it is, and I'm sure the guys are as well. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, like we can't thank the runners enough. You guys donating, being in chat, engaging throughout. I'll do a quick pass over to Jacob and see if you've got anything to say because it is Jacob presence. So off you go.
Jacob's presence.
Look, it's my presence in name only. I keep stressing this, but I do want to shout out, everyone else here who probably put in a lot more graft than I could have, or like physically, or could be bothered to. So I just had the idea.
You can't say that.
Look, I'm just saying. Look, if I just had the idea, if Evan and Dev hadn't forced me to make that Twitter poll, I probably wouldn't have got other people to do the work for me. So big shout outs to them. Cross out the channel. He presents. It's the gang. The whole gang presents. Get a move on. We present it.
And of course, like I said,
is that what we're going to call the next version? We're going to call it.
We present.
Also, yeah, well, we're going to leave that in as well. Like, there's nothing set in stone at all. But we were thinking if this event went well, we might do another one later on in the year. Not anytime soon, but we'll think about it. If we get enough kind of, I hope people have enjoyed it. It seems that people have, and obviously we're thinking about maybe doing them later in the year. But we'll get to that when we get there, right? We're gonna have We're gonna sleep for the next couple of days because this past week and these past days have been We've been working. So we're going to be passing out for the next few days. So VODs and everything will probably be uploaded on this upcoming week. That. And you know what? If it ever happens, Gamo IRL anyone? But once again, nothing.
Gamo IRL.
That would be really, really exciting. That would be really, really exciting. Whether we can make it happen or not, well, we'll just have to see, won't we?
We'll have to see that. So, of course, the entire team. We've got thank Isaac, thank you Jacob. Well, thank you. I was going to use the tags, but now I said well because I'm going to use your tags, but we're using your names now. Isaac, Jacob, Evan, Bomber, Joe, and Tom. Thank you, obviously, everyone getting involved.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam, as well.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Can't do the humble
And also
brag.
to all the
can we?
runners and commentators as well.
Of course,
Big shout out to them.
Yeah, I've already mentioned them. We've already mentioned them. But
Hey, it's worth mentioning again.
yeah, I'm kind of waffle at this point, but just thank you for making the event. Because it was, guys. Thank you. And of course, the raffle isn't going to end as well. We've still got that up. So if you do donate some 50 big ones, you can get Big Sonic. There's a big box in my room just sitting there, and I'm waiting to ship him off. So we'll close the page later on in the week. And I've done enough speaking now. Someone else.
Do we have a confirmed date for when the page is closed?
We're going to do Friday this week,
Friday, yeah.
like Friday night sometime. Don't know when, but keep an eye on the Twitter.
Yeah, but again, I've seen a bunch of people have been pretty interested in helping out. Should we run another one?
Yes.
Of course, just get in touch with one of us. It's been a very interesting learning experience for everybody, because obviously we've never done anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for raising so much money as well. And Jacob,
absolutely.
do you think to say about your song?
I was literally about to ring that up. Yeah, stay tuned to Twitter for the incentive that we never knew we wanted. Thanks for that, GP. Imagine ever interacting with GP and not becoming a weeb after it.
Yeah.
So sometime in the week, you're going to get the worst video you've ever seen in your life.
Oh,
Right, and if there's any final words from anyone else, anyone?
Well,
I think
we raised 3.7k.
We did. We can't stress that enough. That's big.
Thank you all so much. Everyone's still watching. Everyone who's donated. We can't stress it enough. Really, like this blew our expectations out the water. In the week leading up to this, we had our nerves about it in terms of a number of things. Technical issues. People just not appearing, people not supporting it. Would we struggle to reach the goal?
Yeah, will Jacob be able to present anything?
Actually, the answer to that is no, we've learned. But can I just interject with something that me and Evan said what Evan said to me rather on Friday before we did this? Evan said, "Oh, I hope we can get like maybe a consistent 20 viewers." And here we are wrapping up with nothing going on, with 57.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
We were even still above 20 at 3 a.m. last night, wrapping up whammies.
Yeah, that was also very impressive.
Shout out to all the troopers who stayed up for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we did as well. And we woke up early to get the stream started today.
Whammy was very happy to go up until 6 in the morning, maybe later, and then we were like, right, we're going to bed at 3:30. It needs to be up about 25 past 10 the next morning, so we have about 7 hours sleep to then do it all over again. So of course, it's been a long one, but it's been a very, very fun experience. Very, very pleasant, very, very fun. I've massively enjoyed doing it. It's been very different, as Evan said, I think, especially for obviously SSM boys as well. Like we normally do TOing and all that, and doing something like this, very, very different. But I think we've loved it. I don't think we've really loved
also,
it.
Remember, don't just credit it to SSM. I'm here.
No, Evan is as well. No, sorry, I didn't mean to segregate you there. I was just
SSM and Doggy underscore.
SSM, yeah. I didn't want to I didn't mean to segregate.
Presents Doggy underscore presents Charnocky presents.
Oh well, I think it's just time to perish. Like,
I want to say one more thing before we drop off. Something that I think people will predict me to say. Something I just want to give a really big shout out to Illuminati for everything he's done for this.
Yes, big
out of all of us here, by far he has put in the most effort.
Yes, absolutely.
And I say this as someone who I think I have a pretty decent work ethic. Joe has blown it out the water completely. Everything
you see everything that you see. All right, Tom, did you do the background again? I forget, or was that Joe?
I conceptualized things and I helped, but I cannot take as much credit as I.
A large thing you see on the screen right now is all made by Joe. You see that a link at the bottom, the schedule link? That was Tom, to be fair. So we'll give credit where credit's due.
I'm nice sometimes, right? I'm not going to downplay myself so much, but Joe is unreal, and the amount of effort he's put into this is crazy. It's absolutely insane. And that's what I want to say. I want to say thank you to everyone as well. I can't stress it enough. This was insane. And well done to all of us for pulling this off. This was the first First of these that we've done, and
it's probably been harder to plan than a Conquest. I'm not going to lie. Like a lot of going into it. Like, with something like Conquest, we're like at the end of it, we know it. Like we know we're going to get the entrance that we want. Like people are going to pop up. But this one, we're like, is this going to be a lot for nothing? But no, it was absolutely like he blew us out of the water, and it really was.
But again, when I thought of Gamo, it was when I was watching Isaac stream in Celeste, and I was like, there's probably about 2 or 3 more speedrunners in the UK, I bet.
Yeah, there's a handful.
We got a few
30 applicants.
Here, look, there's one other thing I can say, actually. I know the last thing I said might have been what I described as being the last thing, but if you check out a tweet that's gone out recently, you'll see that between Solidarity, the Link's Awakening ran, between the movement, which was ran by a great group of people from Smash UK, spearheaded by Cousin Boneless, and then with Gamo as well having concluded, within the past year, the Smash UK and Ireland communities have raised more than £10,000 for charity.
Yeah,
and that is insane. That is insane. Can you guys believe that our community has raised that much money for good causes?
Yeah, who cares how stinky Smashers are? Look what we can do. look what we can do when we come together.
We can raise money.
That is honestly just mind blowing. That is such a huge amount of money going to good causes.
If there's any final thoughts, anything I want to say one final thing. If there's any final thoughts from anyone,
can I get in first?
Yeah, go ahead, Isaac.
I pledge that we will rely less on the office in the marketing campaign.
No, I can't. I'm not making any promises.
I don't think so.
He does not represent us.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, Isaac's not in charge of the Twitter. I am. I can't make any promises about the office.
And
I guess stand the office.
Before we end off, can we all get a load of bops in chat for finally? I think that's the Gamma remote. I think we've kind of realised that Bop is probably now. In the past 2 runs, Bop has been kind of the emote in it.
Hell no, we got chat Bop spamming.
That's good. And hell, as I said, if we're up for it and if people are there, summer this year, maybe get later, early, who knows? Could be a second one. No, don't take that as gospel, but who knows? Maybe a second one. We'll see. But with that, guys, anything else?
I think that's like the 20th time we've said anything
else.
No,
I just want to make sure.
I want to go to bed. Can I go to bed, Sam?
It's time, yeah. All right, guys, it's been a fantastic one, and we'll speak to you all maybe soon. But now it's time for bed. In a bit, guys. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Much love.
Thank you, and good night.